A lot of you have been asking me to make redstone videos in the Better Together update, and that sounds like a pretty good idea to me, except redstone is very different in this version of Minecraft. So I thought a good place to start would be to take a look at all of the redstone circuits I often use in all of my redstone builds and see if they actually work in this version. So I thought I'd start things off with the easy ones, and or not, the fundamental logic gates of Minecraft redstone. If these things didn't work, then we wouldn't have any redstone circuit. So thankfully, as you can see, they all work as expected. Monostable circuits are a little bit quirky in this version of Minecraft. This one works absolutely fine. The redstone dust powers this block, which powers this piston, extending this block upwards one tick after this block has been powered, giving us a very nice short pulse, as you saw just there. But if we use repeaters, which this would work in the Java edition of Minecraft, it doesn't work. And that is because that repeater isn't actually powering that piston, which means we don't get any of the block extension, which means that the monostable circuit essentially doesn't function. So if you're going to be building this sort of thing, you're going to have to run redstone dust into it. However, if you want a slightly different design, of course the dropper hopper monostable still works absolutely perfectly. Just an item inside that one there. I would say one of the biggest differences between the Java edition of Minecraft and the Better Together version of Minecraft is the fact that sticky pistons don't spit out their blocks when they receive a one-tick pulse. So normally in the Java edition of Minecraft, this block would be fired out and it would stay there. It wouldn't be retracted. But in this version, that doesn't actually happen, which means that this design for a T flip-flop doesn't function. As you can see, we're not getting a constant redstone output through that repeater. However, there are a few other designs. For example, this one with the droppers running around in a cycle works absolutely fine. We hit the button, that turns it off. We hit the button on this side, and that turns it back on. And that also works with redstone dust running into the dropper as well. But one common design that we used to use back in the day is this thing, and that doesn't work. It's a little bit strange with how it functions. It seems to be random where the redstone block decides to end up, so I guess you could use it as a randomizer, but it definitely doesn't function as a T flip-flop. The common circuits for RS NOR latches, on the other hand, seem to be working absolutely fine. We hit this button, that will toggle the redstone output. If we hit the button again, nothing will happen. We hit this button, that will toggle the redstone output. If we hit it again, absolutely nothing will happen. So that's functioning well, and this one over here is doing exactly the same thing. Very old school design. I'd be surprised if this thing stopped working. That being said, this circuit right here is pretty ancient, and it has definitely stopped working. I think it's because pistons are just slower in this version of Minecraft, which means that we have to add in a lot more delay. We've got a button, we need to run 4 ticks into the back piston, we need to run 8 ticks into the middle piston, and then we need to run 0 ticks into the front piston right here, and then we get ourselves a functioning double piston extender circuit. Now we can kind of neaten this up a little bit and make it flush with the wall as well, and it still has all of the same timing, so you can see that works perfectly, but still, bit frustrating that this design doesn't actually function. These two vertical double piston extenders have been specifically designed so that they work in the Better Together version of Minecraft. This one isn't flush with the floor, but it works perfectly well, and this one is flush with the floor, and it also works perfectly well. Now, if we take a look at the redstone behind this thing, this is like the extension circuit. So we power this block right here, that powers this piston, and then also this repeater makes sure that this piston stays extended for 4 ticks longer, so it can actually retract this piston. But then after that, this piston gets powered by this redstone. Now, the cool thing about this is that we can power this block without quasi-connectivity messing things up and causing this piston to extend before this piston extends. So that happens on the extension, and then on the retraction, all we have to do is power this falling edge monostable circuit, and that will send a redstone output into that middle piston so that it picks up the block. That was a lot of words. I do apologize. This other one works in exactly the same way. So we have a little circuit down at the bottom here which extends out the pulse for this bottom piston. So it extends first and then also retracts last. And then we also have this redstone torch and this redstone torch which powers our top piston, and that makes it flush with the floor. And then on the retraction, once again, we just have the falling edge monostable circuit, which will allow us to pick up that block from the back. These things are pretty simple to build, and I'm sure with me just flying around, you should be able to get all of the information that you need. Finally, the vertical flush with the ceiling double piston extender, also working in the Better Together version of Minecraft with a few little changes to the average circuitry. Now this one does look a tiny bit more complicated, but trust me, it works in exactly the same way. We have the redstone signal running into the top piston first, and then we also extend out the pulse using this circuit, but then we also run the redstone round like this, and we power some redstone on this block right here, which will allow us to extend out the second piston, and then that will retract first, then this piston will retract it back, and then we have the falling edge monostable circuit right here, which will power the middle piston. Just like that. Once again, I think you have all of the information you need to build this thing. It's not too tricky. Finally, we're moving away from those horrible things and taking a look at redstone clocks, and you'll be happy to hear that all the common redstone clocks that I often use in my circuits seem to be working fine. Hopper clock works perfectly, the comparator clock also works perfectly, giving us a really fast redstone signal, and the hopper timer. This works brilliantly well as well, which means that we can get nice long periods of time between redstone pulses. One that I completely forgotten about is the torch burnout clock, but that seems to kind of work, but also kind of not. How interesting. So in the Java edition of Minecraft, you would take the redstone output from the redstone pulse, because the redstone torches wouldn't be consistent. However, it looks like it's the other way around for the better together version of Minecraft. You take the redstone output from the redstone torch, however, even those turn off occasionally, so I probably wouldn't suggest using this thing. After that slight curveball, we're going to move on to the automatic dropper circuits that I often use inside my base. Now this is the design that I use most commonly, and I already know that it's not going to work because it relies on quasi-connectivity to function. This dropper would get powered by this block, but of course that doesn't happen in Better Together, so we have to use a design that looks a little bit like this. Now if we grab those items from here and place them inside this dropper, you can see that it should function absolutely fine. However, the most common item elevators definitely don't function absolutely fine. As you can see right here, this dropper is shooting the blocks upwards into this block, which then move off to the right and end up in the hopper. Now I am curious to see, yeah, they always just travel off and they never make their way up through the blocks. So we're going to have to use a drop elevator. Now thankfully, due to the fact that there is no quasi-connectivity in this version of Minecraft, these things are extremely reliable. If we place some items inside here, you can see all of the items zip through. All of it is completely silent as well, and eventually they will all reach the top. The only thing is, 2 items get stuck inside the droppers, but they will be moved out as soon as you use it again. This comparator pulse extender design works perfectly. But I guess we all expected that. I mean, come on, look at it. Flush piston doors. These things are really cool, and a lot of people have been saying that they're not possible to build in the Better Together version of Minecraft. And this is kind of true. I mean, the design that we often use in the Java edition totally doesn't work, and that's because quasi-connectivity isn't a thing, and also pistons are a lot slower in this version of Minecraft. But that doesn't mean it's not impossible. It's just quite a lot bigger and quite a lot bulkier, as you can see right here. If we flick this lever, these pistons will extend outwards, and then those pistons will extend as well, giving us a flush with the wall 2x2 piston door. You can see this would be perfectly hidden away in the side of a cliff, or inside a cave, or wherever you want to put it. And then if we flick the lever once again, you can see all of those blocks retract, and everything opens up. It is functional, it just needs to be quite a bit larger. Now the way that the redstone works is actually really simple. All we have is a redstone line which we power, and that will power these blocks and also these blocks up at the top instantly. So as soon as we flick those levers, these blocks will be powered. Then 4 ticks later, these pistons on the edges will be powered by these repeaters right here, and they will extend these pistons out, pushing them on top and below the blocks that are already powered, meaning they extend out instantly, pushing their blocks to be flush with the wall. And then when we flick the lever off, we'll turn off the redstone instantly, so these blocks and these blocks will be unpowered, meaning that these pistons will retract, and then 4 ticks later, these pistons will retract, pushing those pistons back into the wall. They'll pull them back into the wall, and they'll give us a 2x2 walkway. Thankfully, the fix for flush trapdoors is nowhere near as big. This is the design that we would normally use in the Java edition of Minecraft, and as you can see, it's totally and utterly broken. However, it just takes a simple 1 block translation downwards and some redstone dust on top of that block to work absolutely fine. That thing is now completely flush with the floor and would be able to hide away a little bunker that you have underneath the floor. So I think that just about does it. I've covered all of the circuits that I tend to use in my redstone builds, and I've given you some alternatives. So if you want to design your own redstone contraptions, now you have plenty of firepower. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. And as per usual, check out the latest film on the filming channel. It's a good one.